Hi, I'm Mayor Carol Herrera. The city of Diamond Bar has always been a very special place to live, and I have been so proud to call this community my home. Each year we focus on the accomplishments of our city, but this year gives us a greater reason to celebrate as we look back through our rich history that has brought us to our 25th year as an incorporated city.
It's a rich history that can be traced back as far as the late 1700s and even earlier, when the Gabrielinos Indians first inhabited this expansive valley. As the decades progressed into the era of Mexican governance, the first land grant issued would give a 22,000-acre parcel to two California natives, Ignacio Palomares and Ricardo Villar, who gave the name of Rancho San Jose to their new home. Just 10 years later, Jose de la Luz Linares would be granted over 4,000 acres in the territory and would soon be known as the Rancho Los Nogales, the Ranch of Walnut Trees, where the city of Diamond Bar currently sits. Other major milestones of the region would include the takeover of California as a U.S. territory in the 1860s, which would impact the region and the ownership over this huge acreage, where men like Phillips would stake his claim and eventually sell some of his land holdings to William Rubottom, who would develop his portion of the land into a stop for the stagecoach lines and give it the name of Spadra. It wasn't until 1917 that the name of Diamond Bar would emerge, after Frederick E. Lewis would give that title to the region after his purchase of this vast acreage. Over 7,800 acres would become his home for raising hogs and cattle. His registered brand for his ranch, a diamond over a bar, would be used on the cattle who covered the rolling hills of the region. As time progressed through the 1940s and 50s, more major changes for Diamond Bar would emerge, as the land would change hands from Fred Lewis to the Bartholomae Oil Corporation in 1943 for a hefty sum of $850,000.
My father was a hard worker, businessman, and we had a little age difference. He was 50 when I was born, so at that time in his life, he was mostly concerned with business, managing his oil business, his property business, the ranching here in Diamond Bar and also near Eureka, Nevada. So he was quite busy. Well, you really don't realize it at the time. This is your house and this is your yard, 8,000 acres. But looking back, it was freedom. It was a wonderful place. I had a beautiful white mare, Tennessee Walker, named was Snowball. And we would travel Saturday. I'd pack a lunch, take off, tell my mother to be back by dark. And I had anywhere on the ranch to travel.
More than a decade later, Transamerica Corporation began its plans to create what would be the first housing development for the area, and a $10 million purchase of this large parcel would get the wheels of progress rolling at a steady pace. Transamerica's project was considered the largest of its kind at the time, with the corporation laying out the complete infrastructure of water and utilities among an area that was once just ranch and farmland, and with their vision to see over 60,000 people reside.
It was very pastoral. There were a lot of rolling hills. There was no 57 freeway. There was no 60 freeway. There was no Grand Avenue. There was no Diamond Bar Boulevard. There were just long winding roads that connected the city of Brea to the city of Pomona with these ginormous trees that lined each side, and it was lovely.
Like to tell you the story about Diamond Bar, the Live Big community. Diamond Bar for rural living close to LA, just southwest of Pomona Way. The largest master plan by far is 8,000-acre Diamond Bar.
The pace of progress was beginning to hit a full stride and take Diamond Bar on a pathway of continued expansion. The early 70s created another large jump for Diamond Bar as the completed construction of a new freeway, new businesses, and another housing boom would solidify the city among its peers in the valley and position Diamond Bar for more growth and a need for more services to assist in the handling of this expanding community.
Well, the Lucky Store, which is no longer there at the corner of Grand and Diamond Bar Boulevard, used to sell horse saddles, tack, feed, so that isn't going there anymore. Other things happened included the beautification, the widening of the Diamond Bar Boulevard.
The mid-70s would lay out a foundation for Cityhood with the creation of the Diamond Bar Municipal Advisory Council. This group would consistently address some of the burgeoning needs for this city and give a voice to its residents before the governing body of the LA County Supervisors.
At the time, we had a municipal advisory council with no authority at all, and they would have meetings here and then they would go down and lobby the county supervisor. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And some people were upset about the number of condos that were being built. At the time, the proposal from Transamerica, from the original designer of the master plan, was that Diamond Bar would have 100,000 population. And today it has 60 and we think it's overcrowded. So you can see that back then there was a desire to incorporate.
Diamond Bar's rapid growth would also have an impact on its need for schools, as the city would see another milestone with the groundbreaking of Diamond Bar High School in 1981. Diamond Bar is one of the fortunate communities to have two award-winning school districts within its city boundaries.
The schools have really made this community. We've always had the super schools, and I think in a way that's almost been the most important thing in this community, were the schools, and it's why the type of people that live here is for their kids.
With the 80s providing some of the strongest economic changes for the country, Diamond Bar would also take part in the growth. But after a failed attempt for incorporation earlier in the decade, it was 1989 that the dream of many would finally come to fruition, as local residents voted overwhelmingly to incorporate and become a city.
There was a 10-year effort and 3 tries, 2 at the ballot box. I think people were more aware of what was going on, and the Municipal Advisory Council was more frustrated with the lack of power that they had, because they were only an advisory council to the one county supervisor, and he made all the decisions that was going on. Well, initially we had to start a city hall. We had no employees. We hired a secretary away from the Chamber of Commerce, that's Tommy Nice, and then we had to find a city manager. So we found Robert Van Noort, who had been a city manager for another newly incorporated city and had that new city experience. That was very important because we had to hire an attorney, we had to bring in accounting staff, we needed a city clerk. You know, we had just absolutely no one as staff. So, and the first month, we operated the city on the council members' personal credit cards.
In the beginning, we contracted with a lot of other cities for our services, recreation services. We have grown to the point where we now have our own recreation department. We have grown in population to where we have a very fine sheriff's department unit representing Diamond Bar. We have our own lieutenant because our contract has grown to a certain extent. And I think the programs and the services that we offer the residents are very nice. Our city appearance is very nice, and I think the citizens and the residents are very appreciative of how we have evolved.
You know, if you're going to create a community, I think a big part of being a community is having a responsive local government. And as an employee, I saw that as one of my biggest roles, is to show that as a city we are responsive to what the community wants. And that has driven our passion for Parks and Recreation ever since then, is the service to the community and meet their needs so that they understand or at least appreciate the fact of an incorporated community.
The Diamond Bar Center also celebrates a milestone, celebrating 10 years since its building back in 2004, where activity for weddings, special events, and meetings would be quite busy. Businesses and agencies have also been a part of Diamond Bar's success. Through this time, many well-known names in the world of business have taken up residence within the Gateway Corporate Center. This includes the South Coast Air Quality Management District, which helped temporarily house City Hall for Diamond Bar during its growing years. Public safety has been another core element to the success of Diamond Bar, with our key partnerships with the LA County Fire and Sheriff's Department. Station 120 was our very first station within the central part of town to serve Diamond Bar, while the construction of the Diamond Bar Walnut Sheriff Station has been a prime factor in the city's long reputation for having some of the lowest crime rates in the San Gabriel Valley. The city's partnership with the Los Angeles County Library has been a contributing factor to the focus on education, with the very first branch on Grand Avenue that was on land gifted by the Transamerica Corporation, to the more recent opening of the newest branch, which occupies the first level of Diamond Bar's permanent and palatial home for City Hall. This multi-purpose building draws many on a weekly basis and serves several needs for our community. Now, with the celebration of our silver anniversary upon our community, the future has a bright outlook for what has become a significant city among its peers in the San Gabriel Valley.
You know, I've said for a long time, you know, Diamond Bar's had a great past, and it had a great past before incorporation. It's had a great 25 years since incorporation, but I believe the best is yet to come.
I think that it's the people that live here that are the most important. They're the ones that have made the choices, and they're the ones in their participation in the life of the community are the ones that have made this a great place to live.
When I think about the city being 25 years old, I think it was the right decision. I'm absolutely sure. I know the benefits are far greater than we ever expected.
Our state of the city remains very strong, and it is the success of our past history that will be the firm foundation to propel us into even more achievement in our next 25 years. And we will all work together to make that future success a reality.